The moment unfolded quietly inside a formal White House meeting room, without raised voices or visible tension. President Donald Trump was seated with more than 30 senior oil executives when his attention shifted away from the discussion. What followed was brief but striking, a pause that instantly stood out not for disruption, but for the symbolism it carried within one of the most controlled political spaces in the world. In the middle of the meeting, President Trump stood up from his chair and walked toward a nearby window. Outside, construction crews were actively working on the new White House ballroom, a project already drawing scrutiny for its rapidly increasing cost. The meeting paused as Trump focused his attention on the construction, leaving the room momentarily suspended in silence. Breaking the quiet, Trump addressed the room with a casual remark. "Unusual time to look, but I figured we might as well," he said, prompting light laughter from the assembled guests. Despite the relaxed tone, the optics were impossible to ignore. Executives from Exxon and Chevron remained seated as the president stood, absorbed in observing the progress of the ballroom project. For roughly 20 seconds, no policy discussion took place. The president simply watched the activity outside, visibly interested in the structure rising on the White House grounds. In an institution defined by protocol and discipline, even a short interruption carries meaning, especially during a private meeting involving some of the most influential figures in the American energy sector. The ballroom under construction has already become a focal point of political debate. With reported costs approaching $200 million, it represents one of the most ambitious physical alterations to the White House in decades. Supporters describe it as a long overdue expansion, while critics question whether such a project reflects appropriate priorities during a complex political moment. Trump later explained his interest by criticizing the size of existing White House meeting rooms. He argued that the current space was inadequate, suggesting that the same gathering could have accommodated more than 1,000 people if it had been held inside the new ballroom. For the president, scale appeared to represent functionality, influence, and institutional capability. This focus on size and visibility aligns closely with Trump's broader leadership style. Throughout his presidency, physical scale has often been used as a measure of success, whether through rally crowds, infrastructure projects, or symbolic displays of expansion. The ballroom fits neatly into this pattern, serving as both a functional space and a personal statement of authority. The executives present represented enormous economic power, shaping energy markets and national policy discussions. Yet during this moment, they remained silent, waiting as the president redirected his attention. The pause subtly reinforced the power hierarchy within the room, demonstrating who controlled not only the agenda, but the very rhythm of the meeting itself. No one interrupted the pause or attempted to steer the discussion back on course. The meeting resumed only when Trump returned to his seat. In political environments, silence often communicates acceptance, and in this case, it reflected deference. Authority was asserted not through commands, but through the simple act of making others wait. From a policy perspective, nothing immediate changed. No agreements were altered, and no negotiations collapsed. Yet moments like this linger because they reveal underlying priorities. The presidency is shaped not only by decisions, but by what captures a leader's focus during moments intended for governance and strategic discussion. The ballroom project itself extends beyond architecture. Any modification to the White House becomes part of the institution's permanent legacy. Personal vision becomes fused with national symbolism, ensuring that such changes are remembered long after the political moment that produced them has passed into history. Critics argue that the incident reflects distraction, suggesting that attention was diverted from pressing matters to a costly personal project. Supporters counter that it demonstrates confidence and control, portraying a president comfortable asserting authority even in the presence of powerful corporate leaders, without apology or explanation. The timing of the moment intensified scrutiny. Meetings with oil executives carry strategic importance, particularly amid volatile energy markets and global uncertainty. Any interruption, however brief, invites questions about focus, discipline, and the message being conveyed at the highest levels of government. Importantly, Trump did not leave the meeting entirely. He did not dismiss participants or end discussions. The pause was controlled and temporary, separating it from confrontation or disengagement. This distinction matters, framing the act as a deliberate display rather than a breakdown in proceedings. In modern politics, perception often carries as much weight as substance. Though cameras were not intended to capture the moment, its description quickly circulated. The image of a president standing alone at a window, admiring a costly expansion while executives waited, became a powerful narrative snapshot. The White House has long symbolized continuity, restraint, and institutional seriousness. Any deviation from expected behavior attracts attention. Trump's presidency has frequently tested these boundaries, transforming routine moments into subjects of national discussion and interpretation. The ballroom has thus become more than a construction project. It functions as a metaphor for Trump's approach to leadership: ambitious, highly visible, controversial, and deeply personal. Even unfinished, it commands attention, just as it did during that quiet pause in the meeting room. For the executives present, the interruption may have carried little consequence. For observers, it added another data point to ongoing debates about governance style, institutional norms, and the merging of personal legacy with public office at the highest level of power. No rules were broken, and no crisis erupted. Yet the moment mattered because it revealed how authority can be exercised subtly. Power does not always announce itself through force or rhetoric. Sometimes it is communicated simply by standing up and allowing silence to fill the room. In the end, Trump's brief walk to the window was not a scandal, but a signal. It offered a revealing glimpse into priorities, leadership style, and control within the White House, leaving behind a moment that raised eyebrows not for what was said, but for what it quietly showed.